Chapter 3. The Serpent's Trail.
The lines of code blur before my eyes, an endless stream of cryptic symbols and commands. I blink, refocusing, as Logan leans in closer to the monitor. "There," he says, pointing. "See that pattern? It's a signature, a calling card. I've seen it before." I squint at the screen, trying to make sense of the gibberish. "You're sure?" Logan nods, his face grim. "Positive. It's him, Steph, the Serpent." A thrill runs through me. Finally a lead. After months of dead ends and false starts, we're on the trail. I turn to Logan, his eyes bright with anticipation. "Where does it lead?" His fingers fly over the keyboard, a staccato rhythm. "Give me a sec." "Got it." A hidden forum deep in the bowels of the web. Invitation only. I lean in, scanning the page. A wall of text, encrypted. "Can you get us in?" Logan cracks his knuckles, a wry grin tugging at his lips. "Can a roo jump?" "Give me a few minutes." As he works, I pace the lab, mind racing. The Serpent, the mastermind behind a web of cybercrime, identity theft and fraud. A ghost in the machine, always one step ahead. But not this time. This time, we've got him. "I'm in," Logan says, triumphant. The screen fills with a flurry of posts, a hive of illicit activity, credit card numbers, bank accounts, personal data, all for sale to the highest bidder. My heart pounds as I scan the forum, looking for clues. And then I see it, a post from a user named Ouroboros, the Serpent's handle. "Got him," I breathe. "He's here." Logan types furiously, tracing the IP, chasing the digital trail. I hold my breath, waiting, and then... "Shit," Logan mutters. "It's a proxy, bouncing all over the globe. Can't pin him down." Frustration coils in my gut, hot and bitter. So close. We were so damn close. And then I see it. Buried in the code, a single line. An address, a place. "Logan," I say slowly. "What's this?" He leans in, frowning. "Looks like a location. Warehouse district, down by the port." I stare at the screen, a creeping sense of unease prickling my skin. Why would the Serpent leave an address? In Adelaide? It doesn't make sense. Unless... "It's a trap," I say quietly. "He knows we're onto him." Logan nods. "Probably, but it's the only lead we've got." I hesitate, torn. Every instinct screams at me to be cautious, to play it safe, but the memory of my boys drives me forward. I can't let their killer's boyfriend walk free, not again. "We'll check it out," I decide, "but we do it smart, back up on standby, full tactical gear." Logan grins, a glint of anticipation in his eyes. "Reckon the Serpent's ready for a taste of his own venom?" I smile back, cold and hard. "Let's find out." As we gear up, my phone buzzes. A message, sender unknown. My blood runs cold as I read the words, stark and taunting. "I know what you did, Stephanie. I know your secrets. Come and find me if you dare. But be warned, the past has a way of catching up with you." The Serpent. He knows. Somehow he knows about my past, my demons, the things I've tried so hard to bury. I swallow hard, shoving the phone in my pocket. No time for ghosts. Not now. The hunt is on, and I'll be damned if I let the Serpent slip through my grasp. "Ready?" Logan asks, strapping on his vest. I nod, steely resolve settling over me like armour. "Let's do this." As we exit the lab, I spare a final glance at the screen, the taunting message seared into my brain. The Serpent's out there waiting, and I'm coming for him, ready or not.
The cursor blinks, mocking me. I rub my eyes, the glare of the blank screen searing my retinas. Words, once this romance novelist's constant companions, now scatter like frightened birds. I push back from the desk. The clutter of notes and discarded drafts a testament to my creative paralysis. My mind drifts, seeking solace, and finds Stephanie. Her face swims into focus, brow furrowed, eyes alight with that familiar intensity. The case consumes her, a black hole devouring all in its path. I feel the pull, the inexorable tug of her obsession, and I worry. How long can she dance on the edge before it claims her? A knock at the door jolts me back to the present. I hesitate, tempted to ignore it, to burrow deeper into my cocoon of writerly angst. But the knock persists, insistent, demanding. With a sigh, I heave myself up, padding to the door on bare feet. I open it to find Andy Del Monte, all smiles and swagger. "Brett," he greets me, voice smooth as honey. "Mate, got a minute?" I lean against the doorframe, a subtle barrier. "Andy, what brings you here?" I keep my tone neutral, wary. Andy's reputation precedes him, a journalist who'll stop at nothing for a big story that no one else has. "Just a friendly visit," he says, hands spread wide in a disarming gesture. "Thought I'd check in, see how you and Steph are holding up." His eyes, sharp as flint, belie his casual tone. I hesitate, weighing my words. "We're fine, Andy. Just busy, you know how it is." "Yeah, Steph's really throwing herself into this case, isn't she?" He leans in, conspiratorial. "Must be tough, her being so consumed by it all." "She's dedicated," I counter, loyalty flaring. "It's important work." "No doubt," Andy agrees too quickly. "Still, it's got to be taking a toll. Late nights, secrets." He leaves the word hanging, a lure. I feel a flicker of unease, a sense of lines about to be crossed. "Steph knows what she's doing," I say firmly. "And you know I can't talk about her work." Andy holds up his hands, a placating gesture. Course, just looking out for you both, yeah? As a friend." But I know better. Andy's friendship extends only as far as his next headline. I've seen him burn sources, ruin lives, all in pursuit of a story. I won't let him do the same to Stephanie. "I appreciate the concern," I say, my smile tight, "but we're handling it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a deadline to meet." Andy's gaze lingers, calculating. For a moment, I think he'll push, but then he nods, stepping back. "No worries, mate. You need anything, you know where to find me." I watch him go, unease coiling in my gut. Andy's interest, his timing. It feels like more than coincidence. I shut the door, leaning against it heavily. In the silence, my thoughts churn. Stephanie, out there chasing shadows, risking everything. And now Andy circling like a shark, scenting blood. I feel the weight of it all pressing down on me. But beneath the worry, beneath the fear, there's something else. A flicker of determination, of purpose. Stephanie fights for what she believes in, no matter the cost. How can I do any less? I push off from the door, striding back to my desk with newfound resolve. The blank page awaits, but now it feels less like a taunt and more like a challenge. I sit, fingers poised over keys. I may not wield a badge or a gun, but I have my words, and maybe, just maybe, they can make a difference. With a deep breath, I begin to write.
The glow of multiple monitors casts an eerie blue hue across my face as I leans in, eyes scanning lines of code. Beside me, Logan's fingers fly over his keyboard, his brow furrowed in concentration. "I think I've found something," he murmurs, pointing at a screen. "Look at this pattern in the data. It's subtle, but it's there." I follow his gaze, my eyes narrowing. "A hidden forum?" Logan nods. "Exactly. And if my hunch is right, this could lead us straight to the Serpent." Excitement and trepidation war within me. We're close. I can feel it. But the closer we get, the more I sense the danger lurking just out of sight. Logan types a command and a new window blooms to life. We're in. Let's see what we're dealing with. Together we dive into the forum, sifting through posts and threads. It's a labyrinth of coded language and veiled references, but slowly a picture begins to emerge. Weapons, drugs, human trafficking, I mutter, my stomach turning. "This is big, Logan, bigger than we thought." He grimaces, but his focus never wavers. "Then we'd better get to work." We fall into a rhythm, his technical expertise dovetailing seamlessly with my investigative instincts. We probe deeper, unravelling the web strand by strand. As the hours tick by, the outside world falls away. There is only the hum of the computers, the clack of keys, and the relentless pursuit of truth. But even as we make progress, a tiny voice in the back of my mind whispers a warning. "We're getting close. Yes, but to what end? I think of the encrypted threat, the allusion to my past. Is this a path I'm ready to walk down? I glance at Logan, his face etched in the monitor's glow. He senses my gaze, meets it with a nod of understanding. No turning back now. Whatever demons lie ahead, we'll face them together. For the sake of the victims and for the sake of justice, we press on into the digital night. The phone vibrates against my hip, a harsh intrusion into the digital realm Logan and I have immersed ourselves in. I fish it out, frowning at the unknown number on the screen. "Steph?" Logan queries, his brow furrowed. "Probably nothing," I mutter, but a prickle of unease races down my spine as I unlock the device. The message is short, the text garbled and nonsensical. At first glance, it's spam, something to be deleted without a second thought. But there's a pattern to the chaos, a hidden structure that sets my pulse racing. "It's encrypted," I breathe, my fingers already flying over the keys as I pull up our decryption app. "Someone sent me a coded message." Logan leans in, his shoulder brushing mine as he studies the screen. "Can you crack it?" I don't answer, my focus narrowing to the task at hand. The algorithm whirs and spins, teasing out meaning from the jumble of characters. And then, with a final beep, the message unravels before my eyes. "We know who you are, Stephanie McBride," it reads. "We know what you've done. Back off, or your secrets will be the least of your worries." The phone nearly slips from my suddenly nerveless fingers. Logan catches it, his eyes scanning the text. "Bugger me," he murmurs. I barely hear him over the roaring in my ears. The message is a punch to the gut, a visceral reminder of the shadows I've tried so hard to outrun. Memories flicker at the edges of my consciousness, a flash of light, the acrid stench of smoke and death. The feeling of my husband's hands on my face as the police took me away for questioning, their expressions a mix of pity and suspicion. I shut my eyes against the onslaught, forcing the cloying residue of the past back into the corner of my mind reserved for lost memories. I cannot let Brett down, not again. But the message has torn open a wound I thought long healed, and the pain is as fresh as ever. "Steph." Logan's voice is low, urgent. His hand finds mine, his calloused fingers warm against my clammy skin. "We need to report this. It's a direct threat." I shake my head, pulling away. "Number?" "We can't afford to be sidetracked, not now." "But if they know about your past, then that's my problem to deal with," I snap. "The victims of the Serpent are counting on us, Logan. I won't let my personal baggage jeopardize this investigation." Logan looks like he wants to argue, but something in my expression must convince him otherwise. He sighs, running a hand through his hair. "All right, but promise me you'll be careful, and if anything else happens, you'll be the first to know," I assure him. It's a lie, and from the way his jaw tightens, I think he knows it too. But he lets it go through to the keeper, turning back to his workstation with a grunt. I stare at the phone in my hand, the message searing itself into my retinas. The past is a living, breathing thing, and it seems determined to drag me back into its clutches. But I won't let it. I can't. The Serpent is still out there, still preying on the innocent, and I'll be damned if I let my own demons stop me from bringing him to justice. With a final decisive tap, I delete the message and shove the phone back into my pocket. The die is cast. Come hell or high water, I will see this through to the end.
The cursor blinks accusingly on the screen, taunting me with its steady rhythm. I lean back in my chair, rubbing my eyes with a heavy sigh. The words just won't come. They dance on the edges of my consciousness, tantalizingly close, but always just out of reach. My mind drifts to Steph, as it so often does these days. I can picture her hunched over her keyboard, those brilliant green eyes narrowed in concentration as she pores over lines of code. She's been working herself to the bone on this case, barely eating or sleeping. It's taking a toll on her. I can see it. But try telling her that. I glance at my phone, debating whether to call her, just to check in, make sure she's okay. But I know what her response will be. "I'm fine, Brett. Don't worry about me." She's always fine, even when she's not. A sudden knock at the door jolts me from my thoughts. I frown, not expecting any visitors. When I open the door, my heart sinks. "Andy, what are you doing here yet again?" Andy Delmont, journalist extraordinaire, flashes me a grin that's all teeth. "Brett, my man, just thought I'd drop by, see how the muse is treating you." I don't buy it for a second. Andy's like a bloodhound when he catches the scent of a story, and I have a sinking feeling I know exactly what story he's after. "Cut the crap, Andy. What do you want?" His grin doesn't falter. "Hey, can't a guy check in on a mate? But now that you mention it, I did hear some interesting whispers about a certain cybercrime case. The Serpent, they're calling him. Sounds like a juicy one." I feel my jaw clench. I wouldn't know. Steph doesn't discuss her cases with me. It's not entirely true, but I'll be damned if I give Andy anything to work with. He's already caused enough trouble for Steph with his botched investigations. Andy's eyes glint. "Come on, Brett. You expect me to believe she doesn't tell you anything? I know how close you two are." "Then you should know that I respect her privacy and her work. If you want to know about the case, you'll have to ask her yourself." Something flickers in Andy's expression, gone too quickly for me to decipher. He holds up his hands in mock surrender. All right, I can take a hint. But if you change your mind, you know where to find me." With that, he's gone, leaving me with a growing sense of unease. I know Andy, and I know he won't let this go. He's like a dog with a bone when he's onto something. I just hope Steph knows what she's getting into. Because if Andy's sniffing around, it means this case is even bigger than I thought. And that worries me more than I care to admit.
Back in the lab, the air is thick with tension. Logan and I work in near silence, the only sounds the clacking of keys and the hum of the servers. We've been combing through the data from the forum for hours, trying to piece together the Serpent's network. It's daunting, the scale of it all. The Serpent's tendrils seem to reach into every corner of the dark web, a vast web of exploitation and manipulation. The more we uncover, the more I realise just how deep this rabbit hole goes. "Bloody hell," Logan mutters, pushing back from his desk. "This is bigger than we thought, Steph. The Serpent's not just running a few scams here and there. This is a full-blown billion-dollar enterprise." I nod grimly, my eyes never leaving my screen. Money laundering, human trafficking, weapons deals. You name it, they've got their fingers in it. And all run through this forum. It's like a one-stop shop for every illegal activity under the sun, which means taking it down will be like cutting off the head of the snake. It won't kill the whole operation, but it'll deal a serious blow. Logan rubs his face, looking as exhausted as I feel. Easier said than done. This thing is hidden behind more barriers than a nun's nasty. It'll take time to crack the encryption and trace the IP addresses. Time we may not have, I mutter, more to myself than to him. The encrypted message from earlier still lingers in the back of my mind, a ticking clock counting down to some unknown reckoning. But I can't afford to dwell on that now. The Serpent is still out there, still wreaking havoc, and it's up to us to stop him. I take a swig of coffee, long since gone cold, and crack my knuckles. All right, let's get to work. Logan glances over at me, his brow furrowed with concern. You all right, Steph? You look like you've seen a ghost. I force a tight smile. Just the ghosts of cases past, nothing I can't handle. He studies me for a moment, those piercing eyes seeming to see right through my facade. You know, it's okay to take a break every now and then. This job, it takes a toll. I'll rest when the Serpent's behind bars. My tone is sharper than I intend, the words laced with a bone-deep weariness. Logan nods, understanding in his gaze. I get it. Believe me, I do. But you can't pour from an empty cup, Steph. You've got to take care of yourself too. His words hit a nerve, and I feel a sudden rush of gratitude for his presence. In the chaos of this investigation, it's easy to feel like I'm drowning. But Logan? He's like a lifeline, keeping me tethered. I reach out, my hand finding his shoulder and giving it a squeeze. Thanks, Logan, for everything. I couldn't do this without you. He quirks a smile, the gesture softening his serious features. Hey, what are partners for? The moment stretches between us, a rare moment of calm amidst the storm. But as always, duty calls. I clear my throat, turning back to my screen. Right, back to it then. Logan nods, his fingers already flying across his keyboard. Aye, aye, Captain. We work in silence for a while. the only sound the hum of the computers and the occasional muttered curse as we hit another dead end. But despite the frustration, there's a sense of purpose in the air. A shared determination to see this through, no matter the cost. Finally, I push back from my desk, my head throbbing from staring at lines of code for too long. I need some air, back in 5. Logan glances up, concern flickering in his eyes, but he knows better than to argue. Take your time, I'll hold down the fort. I nod my thanks and head for the door, my feet carrying me down the sterile hallway and out into the cool night air. The city stretches out before me, a glittering sea of lights against the inky sky. But for once, its beauty is lost on me. All I can see are the shadows lurking beneath the surface, the dark underbelly that we've only just begun to uncover. I fish a cigarette from my pocket, my hands shaking slightly as I light it. The nicotine hits my bloodstream, a welcome rush of clarity amidst the fog of exhaustion. But even as the smoke fills my lungs, I can't escape the weight of the encrypted message, the implications of what it could mean. I've spent so long running from my past, burying it deep and hoping it would stay buried. But now it seems my sins have finally caught up with me. The thought should terrify me. And in a way, it does. But there's a strange sense of relief too. A feeling that maybe, just maybe, it's time to stop running, to turn and face the demons head on. I take one last drag of my cigarette, watching as the embers glow bright before fading to ash. Then I square my shoulders and head back inside, my resolve hardening with each step. The Serpent may think they hold all the cards, but they haven't met Detective Sergeant Stephanie McBride, and I'll be damned if I let them win. The lab is a hive of activity when I return, the hum of computers and the clack of keyboards filling the air. Logan glances up as I enter, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Find anything while I was gone?" I ask, sliding into my chair beside him. He shakes his head, frustration evident in the set of his shoulders. "Nothing yet, but we'll get there." I nod, my gaze already scanning the lines of code on my screen. The encrypted message still weighs heavy on my mind, but I push it aside. There'll be time to deal with that later. Right now we have a job to do. We work in silence for a while, the only sound the occasional murmur as one of us spots something of interest. It's a familiar rhythm, one born of long hours and countless late nights spent hunched over our computers. But there's a new urgency to it now, a sense that we're on the cusp of something big, something that could finally bring the Serpent to justice. As the minutes turn to hours, I can feel the fatigue creeping in. My eyes burn from staring at the screen, my neck aching from the hunched position. But I refuse to give in, not when we're so close. Logan must sense my flagging energy because he reaches over and squeezes my shoulder. "We'll get there, Steph. Together." I meet his gaze, seeing the same determination reflected back at me, the same unwavering commitment to the cause. "Damn right we will," I say, my voice rough with exhaustion and caffeine. "The Serpent won't know what hit him." Logan grins, a rare sight that lights up his scarred face. "Abso-bloody-lutely." We turn back to our screens, renewed energy coursing through our veins. The road ahead may be long and treacherous, but we'll walk it side by side, because that's what partners do. And in this fight against the darkness, there's no one I'd rather have by my side than Logan Robinson. The Serpent may be a formidable foe, but they've never faced a team like us before. And as the first rays of dawn begin to peek through the blinds, I know one thing for certain. We won't rest until justice is served, and bugger the cost.